Hey folks, welcome to the e-commerce playbook podcast. I'm your host, Richard Gaffin, Director of Digital Product Strategy here at Common Thread Collective. And I'm joined today by two special guests from our Growth Accelerator program, Joy Sharma, who heads that up, and then introducing a new face to all of us here, Jan Almuni, who heads up growth for our Global Accelerator division. What's going on, guys? Good to have you on the pod. So I think today we're going to jump into some specifics around the Growth Accelerator, Global Accelerator focuses on growing brands from sort of the 7-figure range to the 8-figure range. And we're going to be focusing on some specifics around the steps that you need to be taking as a 7-figure business in 2026 to get to that 8-figure mark. So I'll throw it over to you guys, Joy and Jan. Maybe give us first, I'll go to you, Joy. Give us just a little bit of background about the Global Accelerator program and what it is specifically that you do in that program. If you've been paying attention to the news, you've probably seen that costs are going up everywhere and consumer expectations are similarly going up. For fast-growing e-commerce brands, that means increased fulfillment fees, parcel costs, and squeezed margins. With the changes to global trade, brands are seeing a massive spike of 15 to 35%, and with the changes to USPS Parcel Select, delivery costs could balloon well beyond 25%. In order for your brand to survive, you will need a scalable commerce enablement provider who can adapt to these changing markets and help you deliver the best consumer experience at scale. That's precisely what Stored does every day for their partners. In 2024, Stored saved $130 million on parcel fees for its customers, and after powering nearly 1% of all U.S. online Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, they have the infrastructure and integrated technology to help you grow in 2025 and beyond, no matter how many disruptions occur. Don't just take my word for it. You can experience it for yourself. They've just rolled out an in-depth mystery shopping report. This report compares your brand against 2 competitors and presents you with real, actionable insights based on industry benchmarks. To request your free report, go to stored.link/mystery. That's STORD.link/mystery. Take the mystery out of your consumer experience with Stored.
So background on the program is I think we launched this last year. The idea was that we wanted to give the full service that we do for all our customers at enterprise level and do it for 7-figure businesses at a price that makes sense to them. I think since then, the program has exploded, I would say. We have a bunch of customers now, a lot of people, a huge team, I would say, at this point. And what we're talking about today is we run into this conversation a lot of times, just like when you're a 7-figure business, what are actually the things you need to do to grow to an 8-figure business? Like, what is the roadmap? What are things I need to do? And how much of this is consistency, or am I missing out on stuff? So what we want to do was we wanted to build this into a playbook of these are the things you need to do to not only win in Q4, but also win in 2026 and become an 8-figure business. So Jan here.
Cool. So we'll throw it over him then to talk about that specific playbook for 7-figure brands. This is something we don't often talk about on this podcast specifically. So let's jump into that then. Jan, talk to us a little bit about your role at the Global Accelerator, and then we'll kind of jump into the playbook. So let's start there. So what are you doing for the Global Accelerator? What's your role there?
Perfect, Richard. Thank you very much for the introduction. Thanks, Joy. Super excited for being on the podcast. A bit about myself. Here at CDC, I'm the head of strategy in the Accelerator. I'm trying to help also grow strategies, build the strategies together in the playbooks, together with the clients to scale businesses from 7 figures to 8, and obviously possible to 9, but obviously we're trying from 7 to 8 figures, building playbooks with some kind of naming that we're going to share today. But at the end of the day, it's some kind of key points that every single 7-figure business should start building and should start testing. Obviously, some businesses want to test it because they have easy money, because they have more money. They want to test it higher a level. Someone wants to start testing one at a time. But obviously, it's important if you are targeting to an 8-figure business to start testing these playbooks. This is kind of my role, also helping the team talk to each other and try to learn each other's experience and then try to share with each other all our tactics and our problems and that we are having scaling this business. But that's a bit my issue of head of strategy. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's jump into those playbooks then, which you mentioned. So before we kind of hit record here, we talked through the 4 key points of those. So I'm going to list those out as sort of an overall summary, and then we can dive into each one of them one by one. So The first and foremost being, of course, creative volume and diversity. That won't be any surprise to people who've listened to this podcast or who are involved in e-commerce at all. That's the name of the game right now. Second is around how to build out your marketing calendar and how to set your offers. Then third, talking about landing page and persona testing. And fourth, finally, thinking about retention strategy. So let's start with number one, which is creative volume and diversity. How do you approach that as a seven-figure business?
One of the most important parts in this seven-figure business is creating the system of creatives. I think as we see here at CDC, creatives is based on angles, offers, and personas and audiences. And then from there, you just need to get more volume and create more of this kind of triad of these three things. And we always give the client with this kind of concept log. I always tell them this is a framework. I wish they were able to even expand that and create their own. With some clients, we're actually doing that. I think, for example, ChatGPT and this kind of LLMs are super helpful for that. Like, we're trying to also like tell them, hey, create me like 20 personas with 20 angles to test that. Building this is super important, this creative volume, because at the end of the time, Meta is a volume game, as we know. Also now with Andromeda, it's a bit of a diversity also game. But at the end of the time, we just need to launch new creatives with different messages to see which one sticks. And actually, as I always say, it's like try to find the golden nugget, putting paid behind. Because once we have find a golden nugget, then it's just pushing hard that machine and exploiting that until we have or fatigue or until we reach certain level of ROAS that it's interesting for us and it's profitable, obviously. I think one of the systems we're now pushing for these 7 brands, because they don't have so many betting, like they cannot bet so much. They don't have so many cash. Sometimes we have cash problems. It's using a system which they already have, and I'm seeing that in a lot of 7 business, which is the organic side. We have huge TikToks, we have huge Instagram Reels, but then on the ad side, we're trying to ideate or come up with an ads and trying to hire a creator. But we actually already have a community manager, or the founder already pushes some videos by themselves on Twitter and so on. If we actually see, like, one of the 3 steps I tell them is sometimes first create the system, which we call the volume playbook. Then the second one is we are already launching in TikTok. Keep testing on TikTok. The ones that stick, TikTok, also Instagram Reels. I think that because of the nature of the platform, it's super easy to see what sticks and what not, because it's super easy. In 2-3 days, you can see what's viral, and then get that content and just launch it on media buying, on Meta ads, and just put spend behind it. And then you will see, actually, it's a safer bet. Sometimes it will work. We have tested that with several brands. Sometimes it will work directly to purchases. That has happened with several brands. Sometimes it acts as a middle funnel kind of pushy, which is kind of, it's more tutorially, but it's actually one of the best engaging ads, and it's working fantastic because the business actually grows thanks to that. And I think once you create that volume, like that system that can push, we actually recommend 90 ads per month. I'm launching 150 to 300 with some clients that want actually to scale much faster. Then the key here is the creative analysis. It's picking which angles are the winners, which ones we should not be pushing, because Meta algorithm is telling us with ROAS, because our ABO with Andromeda is easy. It's like we open an ABO and actually we drop the ads and let the algorithm actually tell us which one is the winner, which one is the audience, able to understand better and purchase because of that. And then that's the second part, which is what you said, Richard, really good. It's that diversity side, is the hit rate. The hit rate normally is surrounding 3-4%. That's why we need volume. But then once we hit the golden nugget, it's not keep betting on more. It's like keep the volume game, but on the side, keep iterating. And we call this 50-50. It's like, now that we have launched this many ads, keep launching them, but look at the winners and now iterate with we have I think since you have one of the great blogs that I have shared like 20 times or more with some clients, like it's the 30 ad formats blog post that we have. It's kind of get that winner and just do diversity on that angle, on that audience. Keep pushing to different personas behind, different people that you see, like different sub audiences that I call, with different kind of pictures and so on. That's a bit the first part.
Yeah. So send the same message, but make it look as different as possible with your iterations, right? So you're not necessarily iterating on sending a new message or targeting a new audience. You're iterating on doing, I don't know, a cinematograph here, and then, I don't know, short form video, long form video, stills, all that type of thing. Let me go back to the first. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joy.
I think it's a cost thing. I think it's a cost thing actually for seven-figure businesses because they can't keep making all the new ads. So what we recommend is basically in that meta A/B, everything that's spending, make iterations on it. There's that incredible blog. That's a way to make 30 different ads of a winning angle. Go and make them, and then also like make sure half of your ads are still net new, and that's like the best cost optimization. But I think this is if we run a correlation between the customers that actually grow from 7 to 8 and are the fastest growers in the customer base, there's basically 100% correlation. Like it's not even like 80%, 90%. Like everyone who does create a volume wins, and everyone who doesn't win. And I think this is a mentality thing more than anything else for seven-figure business, because eight-figure businesses are used to it. They're like, okay, we have a creative system in place. And for a lot of seven-figure business, it's basically like they have these small lot of creators. They make like 10 ads a month and so on and so forth. For them, it's actually a big thing. And what happens right the second they make 100 ads is like, oh, previously I used to launch 10 and like 3 of them work or 5 of them work. I launch 100 and only 10 work, or like only 5. And I think that's like the hurdle that nobody gets over quickly. But that's essentially what like hit rate is. Like we have talked about hit rate so many times, but like if you actually visualize it for seven-figure customers, when the first time go through it, they're like, oh, that's what it is. And I think part of the reason is like when you make so few ads and your ad account doesn't have like, it has 50 ads in total, most of the ads are going to work because you actually have never conquered any of the real estate placement ever. So I think like that huddle, people just don't get over it for a lot of months. Like they have the system, they're just like doing more of it. But I think it's more of that idea that way. It's like create a volume. You need to nail in volume first and then focus on diversity. And like, this is the funniest thing that we see, which is like the way they make more ads is they will look at the last ad that worked well and let's make more of that. It's actually like a fun one for, because like you've technically won that real estate placement, like move on and find something else. And like, that's basically these are two detrimental things that we actually should remove instead of like creating new systems. People have great systems.
That's an interesting observation. That like that idea of like, well, this worked in the account in the past, so let's just make new versions of it. I mean, that's definitely like a really easy temptation to fall into for sure. You mentioned the kind of the first point that you made there, Jan, was around building the system. And so, of course, I think for a lot of people in the seven-figure range, the question is like, well, how do you build the system? And now I've had 2 conversations now on this podcast with global accelerator clients who are both super, super successful. And I was able to observe as well that, yes, like they have a very clear operating system, just generally speaking, and then also for the creative specifically. So talk to me about what the characteristics are of those operating systems. What are some tactics that people can use to get to the type of volume that we're looking for here? Get mystery shopped for your brand and 2 competitors of your choice for free. Stored will provide a detailed report that outlines the specific areas you're outperforming your competitors and where your competitors are outperforming you. Learn how your consumers truly experience your brand today. Request your free report at stored.link/mystery. That's STORD.link/mystery.
I think most important, the first thing of these systems is based on their concept log. I think the one that we share is super useful, but they own it, most of them. Like they use that concept log to build their own kind of ad ideas, and then they send it much more to the creating thing. I think that's the first thing is this concept log, which actually we pull down in our Excel that we send the client. It's offer, audience, and in this case, message, right? And all 3 together create one ad. In this case, we create 3. When we share this Excel and they pick it up, that's why I tell my client, please keep filling them up. I think the best ones that we have as clients are the ones that own that system. On the other hand, I think one of the best systems that we have been running in one hand is seeding. I think seeding usually works fantastic because they have this kind of content creators that they already know which type of angle and message from the brand works. And then it just keeps sending them the concept logs with the type of ads that they need to run. And then with this content creators, normally they have ambassador programs or they have directly content creators hired based on normally percentage of the number of ads they do. Some of them have reached several deals with percentage of spend, percentage of purchase. I have seen that throughout the accounts. But most of them are content creators. We share the ads, we share the concepts. Normally they don't share the ad specifically because they know that the content creators are really good. Normally they are influencers, normally they are small content creators, like small micro influencers. we seed the content, and then we make them create the ads based on what they know of content creator and what they know about the brand. And I think that usually gives us a lot of volume. And then one of the good things is the editor team, that's one of our tactics, is then the editor team just get the UGC with the different hooks that they are saying and we are actually talking about. And then it just slow it down to statics, to small chunks. And then at the other day is one UGC, we can transform it into 10, 20 statics, GIFs, different ad formats that we were talking, right? That's the good thing. And even if it's not a winner yet, we have already done 20 ads of diversity. Meta Andromeda learns much more because he understands every single section, every single type of ad. Some people are better with boomerangs, some people are better with GIFs. And then actually we create 20 ads from one simple video. And then you just have, some of my clients have this kind of big team of content creators, like small content creators at the end of the time, like they're micro influencers. We don't have this huge influencer paying or this huge person behind. It's just small content creators that we share ads with them, ads ideas, right? And then just keep sending the content. The good thing about this, and I think Joy mentioned it, is like the best systems are the ones that don't stop, right? The ones that don't stop because we are delivering results. But at the end of the day, the actual team of editors, normally I have some clients with one editor, he only iterates and then the system gets flowing because we have new content, iteration. It's kind of 50-50. And then it's how you 2x the content. That's a bit
Yeah, that makes sense. So, go ahead, Joy.
I think also like
Sure.
I think we can just spend the whole podcast on creative if you want to, just because I think at this point we're going to be close to like 80 customers or something. And we have seen so many creative systems across all these. And I think the few that I would like to point out that like were the best or they intrigued me a lot, which were, number one, like nobody creator like at a 7-figure range should ever care if their editor is like onshore or offshore. Like that's the like point blank. I just don't want a person to charge us more than $1,000 a month to just edit videos. Like that's point number one. But I think from a creative sourcing point, like I love the ad. Did you see the ad from Breeze, which was like made by their founder? I think like that is the best side. Like there's not a single customer in the 7-figure range that we have actually said to like not said to get their founder involved. Like that's the best way to go and source creators because you're limited on resources. Like I think that's one really good tactic. The second, which is like my favorite, is first of all, I don't think a lot of 7-figure businesses should have headquarters in LA or New York. But if you have, I think you should eke out all the value out of that. What I mean by that is like if you're in New York, you should get out and just film content in New York that's native there. That's a really good tactic you've seen work. And the most beautiful one was there's a business that's in LA. And what they do is they went out, they saw their highest quality customers, like the people who spend the most with them. They figured out using a zip code on like which are the customers that live within an hour radius to their headquarters. They reached out, they were like, hey, what if we actually hire you part-time? And these are real people, like they're like corporate moms, they're corporate lawyers or like stay-at-home moms and like actually really authentic people. Or like, hey, we're going to pay you $1,000 a month or $500 a month and come here and let's shoot content together on a weekly basis once a week. And that's like the most beautiful, I would say, system I've seen to build really authentic, creative at scale because they would just book 5 of them in a week for 1 hour inside their office in the studio and they just pump up content.
Awesome.
They pump like
I think like
videos.
It's about getting creative about sourcing. At least that seems like part of it. But also like just to kind of recap a couple of things Jan said, it's like if you have an editing team that can do it right, you don't actually have to source that much new creative because those creatives can then be translated into 20 or 30 different iterations, which gives you at least part of the volume that you need. And one thing too, like I just want to make sure that I call out, because you mentioned it earlier, Jan, was our concept log, which is again a spreadsheet that we send over to clients. The idea with the concept log is that it allows you to ideate a lot of good ideas first. So if you start out with the idea and you start out by creating dozens and dozens and dozens of ideas, then the actual briefing process from those like core ideas of what offer, what angle and audience are you pushing towards, the actual briefing process out to certain creators becomes a lot easier because you know exactly what needs to be said before you're actually asking people to create anything for you. And so I think, that's something that we've been harping about at Common Thread for a long time, is that having the idea first, making sure that it's targeted in the right direction, that the message is right, is where it all begins. Once you have a lot of those, then it kind of rolls out from there. You can send them to creators. You get a lot of iterations via editors and create sort of a create a flywheel that way. But let's move to our next few points here, because as you mentioned, Joy, we could spend all day talking about creative, but let's talk about the marketing calendar here. So Jan, talk to us a little bit about kind of what you're thinking with your 7-figure businesses as far as calendar building and offer construction goes.
It's here in the marketing calendar aspect, like we use it to boost this kind of spend, because once the creative system is put in place, once we have already built the kind of acquisition machine that I call it, it's kind of use the calendar to boost this kind of moments and to get this kind of differential AMR, ROAS, yada, yada, yada. By building a sustainable calendar, the most, like we normally take the most correlated with the marketing calendar of the country we are targeting. For example, this August is Labor Day, for example. We are trying to share with all our customers, use Labor Day as an offer, use that Labor Day as a moment to boost spend and to boost the attention, because customers are already boosting for attention because it's kind of a holiday. What we normally share with the customers, that one thing is important is what I see in 7-figure businesses is that most of them that have not triggered that calendar, like that calendar tactic, they come to CDC without a calendar. They're not running calendars. They're just running by intuition. Like, now let's run a moment. Now let's, because of more than because of ideologies, because of a issue, like, oh, we're lacking spend, we need to drive a moment. And that's okay in some cases, but they don't have the calendar standardized and they are not kind of training and testing according, because we all know the big moments. We all know that Black Friday is a huge moment. Memorial Day this year was a huge moment. And we all know Christmas will be a huge moment, but they are not training and they're not testing based on the calendar on an evergreen way, like meaning every single month. And the tactic we're sharing also always is the 2-2. It's like kind of build 2 small moments, a drop, a small kind of giveaway. It's 2 small moments, and then drop 2 big ones, meaning a sale, a discount, a huge offer, buy one, get one. And you need to test those on an evergreen month, meaning on August, for example. Because the Labor Day, we know it's not as impactful as Black Friday. We know people are not looking at e-commerces every single day in Labor Day. But we know people are doing that on Black Friday. And I think the marketing calendar is now that we're running towards the Q4, it's super important to build it, to start testing things. Too small, too big, because then on the big moments, you are not willing to test. Like, I'm suggesting don't test on big moments. Don't test on Black Friday. On Black Friday, run the offer that has one. For example, in some clients of us, it's buy one, get one. It's the best offer. We have run it several moments, Memorial Day, actually with some clients, we've done this pre-Black Friday to test more moments. Because then on the Black Friday, we test moments. This kind of marketing calendar we use to boost that spend and also to make the engine that the acquisition machine that Joy and I just shared about creative volume, get more spend and actually train more the machine. Get Meta more spend, get Meta more revenue, get Meta more learnings, yada, yada, yada. And then on the evergreen period, those learnings are already in place. And I think that kind of marketing, we call it the 4-peak theory in CDC. Actually, we know one of our best clients actually built this 52 kind of peak. My mentality for 7 businesses is you're trying to run towards 8 figures without kind of the brand of an 8-9-figure business. You need to build more of that because you need more like noise, and you need to build those moments to try and figure out which one is the best. And then I think win on evergreen, but also have these moments to boost spend is super important for us and for this 7-figure business. I think that's important.
So to clarify, you're saying the 2 and 2 strategy is 2 small drops or small moments, and then 2 kind of bigger offers. And you're saying you're doing this every single month, 2 of each?
Yeah, we're trying to do it every single month.
Yeah.
With some clients, we have a huge moment in a month, and we do 2 small and 1 huge. That's, for example, if we have a huge moment. This last month, we also have played a lot with urgency, like in the 2 big moments, shorter moments, but huge moments with big discounts. I think that is working super good. But at the end of the day, it's 2 small moments, 2 small time periods that we launch an email that it's getting the attention, and then the 2 big ones to acquire and to squish a bit the sponge every single month. That's a big deal. Sorry, Joy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, Joy, did you have some? Go ahead.
Yeah, so also like the idea of a moment is basically, the idea of a moment is the same thing, which is there a reason the customer should buy today that will not exist tomorrow? So that also includes, it's inclusive of all these things, which are like offer testing, landing page testing, which are like is there a way I can structure whatever I have with a landing page that's really like, this is the reason you should buy it today. It's the same original product. Can I, for example, August is a good example, which is if you're selling whatever you're selling, if it actually plays into kids going back to school, can I actually just take the same product I sell on an evergreen basis and call it back to school, and now actually sell it in an angle that's back to school on a landing page that's related, like relevant to that. It's like the best CR tactic, but it's actually a reason that exists today that will not exist tomorrow. That doesn't necessarily need to include discounting. So that's like the difference between a big and small. Big usually is a discount, which is like Labor's Day, or like there's always something happening. There's always some sale happening. For 7-figure businesses, they're not doing it usually, whereas like their competitors are doing it, the 8-figure businesses are doing. So that's like the big moment. And for a small moment, it's like, can I do offer testing? Can I do landing page testing? Can I connect to the marketing moment that's happening in the month? And that's like the
Also
way
here,
you can actually
sorry,
use the
Richard,
social
one
media
of
to
the
spend a
things
lot of
we
money through.
launch with these brands, because obviously in 7-figure brands, you cannot bet that high. Like we cannot be, oh, this offer is going to work for sure. I'm putting all the spend behind. One of the tactics we're running, for example, Labor Day is a clear example. I'm starting one day before with this kind of member programs. We're also going to talk about retention, but this kind of member programs, which is you have 1 day early access. And depending on the results of that early access, I can bet more or less. Meaning I can put open caps, I can spend more because I know people are willing to come back and the offer is actually working. And if the email has not worked, because I normally tend to tell my clients, your returning customers are customers who already love the product. And those are the ones that you need to ask first. If they're willing to like come back for the offer. And there's like, I send them an email. Hey guys, this offer is working for you. As Joyce said, right? Labor Day. Do you think it's good, the Labor Day message? Which obviously we don't message it like this. It's just kind of calling it like that. If it resonates with them, if they listen to that and they love it, I'm pushing hard on Meta ads because I know it's going to be a good moment to acquire people. I think that's how we test it. And that's on, like I love you said, every single month. Yes, that's every single month. 7-figure businesses are more volatile. And then you need to have a higher speed because then to reach 8-figure and to establish as an 8-figure, then you can play higher tactics. But in 7-figure businesses, it's a quick market because you have a lot of competitors. You also have the big brands that they can go slow, but they are always getting the market. And then you need to be a bit faster in this game.
Yeah. No, I mean, and there's a good point too about like just generally the value of planning ahead. And I think that's definitely something that is very difficult at a smaller scale where you're always struggling to see like, how are we going to make our revenue number this month? When really like, if you want to find success, what you have to be thinking about is next month and the following month and the following month's revenue numbers as well. And making sure that you're planning ahead of time for that. Okay, cool. Let's scoot on to number 3 here, which is we're talking about landing pages and persona testing. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like in the 7-figure environment.
I think here in the 7-figure business, we also mention offers. Like it's kind of this offers, landing pages, personas. It's based on, what we do is build kind of a customer journey, a different kind of offer, which is not based on the evergreen, like selling one product. It's actually bundling 3 products. It's actually putting the product A with like the refills, for example. And it's kind of building an offer that that's the offer, right? That's super nice for, as we call it, acquisition offers, entry offers, which is super nice for the customer to enter the brand, to understand the brand. We are 7-figure businesses. We are not selling because the huge name we have behind, right? 9-figure, 10 figures, they sell by the name. We have to sell by, hey, test the product. Do you love it? And then with this kind of offers, normally what we do is we black them out. We use a blacked out landing page. We send new customers to the landing with that offer. In the landing pages is the same with with different messages, not offering anything, just testing a message. And with kind of the 3 are the same kind of dynamic, which is kind of building a landing page, blacked out, not in the website, launching ads to those landing pages, and then test if it's incremental. That's the most important part. Is the landing page more incremental than where we're launching an evergreen or in a moment? Is that differential? Then if it's differential incrementality, meaning it's 2x, 3x, like getting us the 2x ROAS and 2x revenue, then we can push it on the homepage. Actually, we talked with some client that he has retail and it's like, oh, can I push it also on retail? Yes. If it's actually differential, then we can talk about a full strategy of the business. But at the end of the day, kind of offers are full. We have a great example, which is kind of these machines of shaving. And it's like, they put the shaving machine, refills, and then it's like the offer is super easy to acquire the shaving machine. That's the entry offer, right? It's like, I'm getting you much cheaper. It's kind of a SaaS tactic. I'm getting you cheaper to entry. Then you test it. As I know, my product, because obviously founders and CEOs know that their product is super good. That's the best thing about them, like about these businesses. And they want to substitute the market. It's like, I'm letting people test the product. It's super good. You love it. Now I'm charging you normally. So if we can do subscription business model, that's amazing. That's one of the best things because we're trying to build the Mona Lisa of CDC. But if we're trying to resell them as a subscription, that's amazing. If not, we use tactics of email marketing. We drop them with the marketing calendar, right? And we try to at least build them to keep acquiring from us because we have given them this differential price to test the product. That normally works super good. We have tested that with several brands. It actually have been coming to the homepage with some brands that we run.
Yeah. So real quick, because I don't think I've heard of it. What's the Mona Lisa of CDC?
Mona Lisa at CDC. It's actually based on a Taylor Swift. It's actually building, and it's super important. We're going to talk it on retention, but I think one of the most important parts here is the keep stacking customers. Don't forget about them because we have talked right now, one of the 4 main points of 7-figure businesses, they love acquisition. That's awesome. They love to acquire customers, to keep launching ads, to keep acquiring customers. But sometimes you need to figure it out to go back to your customers and be like, hey guys, come back because I need your LTV. That's in the SaaS industry. I've worked with several SaaS companies. They know that from day one. Like they're willing to give you free the product, right? But then they know they need to give you LTV to justify the CAC. In some e-coms that I'm seeing, they forget about the returning. Even with one product, they forget because it's like, they're not going to purchase my product again. But then they don't test the offers. They don't test landing pages. They actually don't test, and that's the important part, messages, right? Personas, which could actually buy more than 2. One angle that I really love is the gifting angle. Like, oh no, I only say one unique product. People are not going to buy one more. Like, for example, I don't know, like shaving cream or something like that, or chapos. Like, they're going to, this is CPG, but once it's one product, like a pen, right? It's like only one person is going to buy one. But you forget about if the gifting site, for example, some people can buy more than once in a month. Because if they're gifting that as a gift and it's a success and people love it, they're going to keep coming. That's some messages. We're testing it on a blacked out landing page. And then we push on a menu, on a header or whatever, building kind of offers. And that's super important for 7-figure business.
So just to clarify too, how are you measuring the incrementality of a landing page versus business as usual, let's say?
We normally run the unit economics, and that's super important because obviously we're paying CAC. Normally we have an Excel that we run with the offer, with the unit economics based on the price, because normally the price is reduced with discounts. Then we put the cost of delivery, then we put the CAC, and then we calculate our AMER target. If we actually see that this AMER is actually bringing us more profit month over month because we are retaining them, and actually is bringing us more revenue, more LTV than the evergreen offer, then it's when we're seeing it's an incremental value. Because even if we're paying a bit more CAC, it's actually bringing more profit to the business. And then that incrementality, if it's much, it needs to be a bit differential because you're playing with putting it on the homepage. Like the other part is normally we have this with some clients where you can still run the offer in a blacked out page and keep it there and don't move it. But normally if it's incrementality, calculating the unit economics based on LTV of month over month, once you see the difference of unit economics based on evergreen, right? Of the CAC on evergreen, then you launch it on the homepage. That's the calculation.
Yeah, I think Jan means incremental profit, like not ROAS attribution incrementality. He just means like more incremental profit than just acquiring a net new customer evergreen.
Sure.
Also, I think like a hot take on landing pages for 7-figures business should be, I don't think you should ever do CRO. If you're a 7-figure business, you will just never see the results of conversion rate optimization. And like, this is the funniest thing ever, because when you're 7-figure business, like 95% of your traffic is paid. And if you're running it with CDC or you're running it with everyone, what happens is you don't see instant changes in conversion rate. What happens is, like, if you remember the algorithm for cost cap is like it's estimated action rate. So if you actually are ever able to improve your conversion rate, Meta is just going to spend more until the conversion rate goes down. So essentially, like, there's no CVR, like your conversion rate will never improve because of CRO. I think it works differently for 8-figure business when you have organic and you have direct and you have so many different things, but like CRO doesn't work. And also, like, they're super expensive. They're super long-term projects. And I think the best CRO hack for seven-figure businesses is like I think Taylor talked about this in admission, which was like the best CRO hack for a seven-figure business might be if you're selling dog food, if you make a new landing page where you run German Shepherd dog food ads to a German Shepherd dog food landing page, that's gonna actually do the same impact. You're gonna unlock the same amount of spend as you would have improved your conversion rate.
Yeah,
So
no, that's good, because
I think
that's
that's
definitely
like
a
the
question
hot
that we
take
get
for
a lot,
landing
at least in
pages.
admission too, is like, wow, what should I do for CRO or whatever? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I think even on the level of like, there's probably some tweaks that you can make to make it slightly better or whatever. But at a certain point, it's like, if people know they want to buy, they're going to buy, and messaging it properly is going to be the best hack for that anyway. Okay, let's jump to our last point here, which is around retention. So, yeah, talk to us a little bit about like what growing this piece looks like for brands in this kind of seven-figure range.
Totally. And here is important because normally retention, we use the email, like we use the email side, we use the SMS side. But the most important part is using the acquisition already planned ahead about retention. Like, don't think about retention when you have acquired 1 million customers and they have churned. Like, you need to start thinking about retention before or while you're acquiring customers, because I think that's important. We see a lot of net active files, which is what we call here at CDC, the net active file of customers based on net customers, new net customers. Then we have the at-risk customers. We see a lot of at-risk customers churn, because normally at CDC, we have the average of 180 days, more or less like 6 months. Once the customer is churned, and we see that, like if you have not been able to sell him another thing, on Meta ads, for Meta, it's like a new customer. So you're going to pay full CAC. And as we know, like because of low shitty cohorts, like CAC is always increasing because everyone is more expensive than the last. And then if you're not thinking previously about this retention, meaning you're not thinking about what we said, right? Testing offers, testing an offer that actually has a subscription, testing a landing page to kind of like with a message of members, with a message of collectionists, for example, with jewelry brands. Then you're not thinking about a customer that is going to come back. You're just acquiring customers just to build your higher number. But at the end of the day, some businesses are coming that they are running for years. And you see how many customers they have acquired in the past. But because they don't have these retention mechanisms, they are not getting the cash from them again. They're just losing them, and maybe they acquired a bit again with new offers. Or for example, in Black Friday, we reacquire a lot of customers. But at the end of the day, we pay a lot of CAC for them. Whilst when you drop a subscription, when you drop a member program, when you drop reusable products, because that's also, you need to be thinking, like we think the customer journey that we talked about in landing pages, right? When you say this message, for example, Joy said about dog food, right? If you talk to that owner about, first you need to give them this because he is 0 and 1 year. Then between 2 years and 5 years, you send a second product. Then between 5 and 6, you have this product. Then it's kind of this customer journey that they need to obviously keep purchasing to come back to the business. Doesn't need to be a subscription. It can be a subscription, but then you are building your offer and your product towards an LTV, towards building up returning revenue. And that's when I told you about the Mona Lisa and the sending emails. Those are the people you need to be talking more, because they are the customers that are building your business actually. Don't need to forget about them and keep acquiring more customers. I think it's keep talking to them, keep building, for example, with product development, which is one of the horizontal growth of retention. You need to ask your customers, which product do you think is the best one? And one of the tactics in all the playbook we have talked today, one of the most important parts, and I think Joey agreed with me, is have you interviewed your customer? Are you talking with your customers? Using it for ads, which actually works fantastic, but really talking to your customer, like interviewing your customer and talk with them, how they use the product. What do you think it's lacking? What do you think it's better? Because then they give you a lot of ideas to test in ads, which is great to acquire more people, but also they give you ideas of how to evolve the product, how to evolve the offer. And that's how you can get a lot of ideas. And that's building a retention strategy based on, and we normally tell them, don't build only a calendar to acquire. Build a calendar and a strategy to retain them, because that's super important, because you don't need to lose those customers. Actually, those customers, if we can, please, let's not pay CAC anymore. That's Mona Lisa, because if you can stack customers, they're going to give you the cash every single month to acquire more customers, which are going to be more expensive. But at the end of the day, 9, 10, 11-figure businesses are these businesses that have a customer over years and years, and you keep purchasing, like big drinking brands are the ones that you keep purchasing. They never lose you. right? And then they have become you a fan because they stack customers. And then the new ones, they acquire them and they pay a lot of CAC, right? They do a huge ad to acquire even more customers. And even sometimes they buy businesses, right? But they do these high risk bets because they have so many customers on the back end that they are allowed. And that's important to see retention in every single step we talk. Like it's kind of a playbook that it's linear. The retention part is important in every single step.
Right. That makes sense. And I think like one thing that we've talked about a lot on this podcast is, sorry, I'll get to you. But one thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is that your email list is the lowest hanging fruit. And the amount of brands that are at this level that are actually taking full advantage of it is like relatively low. And so if you can begin to tap into like just getting your basic flows set up, like that type of thing, like there's a huge opportunity there to crack. But sorry to cut you off. Joy, why don't you go ahead and jump in here?
I think it was just a comment that I'm actually sad that you said, I don't remember what the model is, or like, I think we need to make that part so famous because like us being an agency, like people only come to us when there's a problem. And most of the time the problem is year over year, I'm not growing. Like looking at the last month, looking at the last 3 months, year over year, I'm shrinking. 70% of the times when we actually look at it, it's not that their new customer acquisition is lacking year over year, it's actually returning revenue. And then we're sitting there like this is not a problem I solved today. Like this was a problem that was supposed to be solved like 6 months ago because your file started shrinking. And I actually think that net active customer file size is a thing that no 7-figure business ever looked at. There's actually no Shopify report to look at it. Like you actually need status for it. There's no two-way around it. And I think that's a good actually point. Very
and just to kind of like
information.
Summarize that a little bit, or rather kind of like define it more clearly, like net active customers is, if you've been listening to this podcast, you'll definitely have heard of it before following our content. That's the idea of essentially it's like the amount of customers who have recently purchased and are kind of in that window before they quote unquote churn or would have to repurchase. And again, like you're saying, there's no real way to track that outside of Statless. But having some understanding of how many net active customers you have and whether that file is growing or not, as opposed to whether or not just overall revenue is growing or your overall number of customers is growing, is really, really crucial to understanding like how well you're actually acquiring new customers. So yeah, that's a super, super important thing to focus on.
And one part that I always tell 7-figure businesses is to also think about LTV CAC, and that's a profitable CAC. They have never some of the businesses, Joy said, never think about this net acquisition. In ours and Statless, one of the most important parts, which I love, is the ad risk. Like all my clients and all the Accelerator clients have looked now at the ad risk because it's this between the end of their life and when they churn. And then when they churn, you need to pay full CAC. And then what I call LTV CAC is give them a discount a little bit below CAC to at least keep them on a roll. Because once they churn, you need to pay full CAC again. Then if you do a gift, if you do them a discount, a small discount just for them, they will keep first the attention, which is super important. For example, now that we're running on Black Friday, the most important for next 3 months is keeping the attention of all the customers for this year. Because if you lose the attention of someone in October, that's the worst thing because they will not come on Black Friday. The month with most intense offers and most intense ads throughout the world, they will not come to your brand. At the end, you have thousands of brands in your home. You'll not go there. If you keep the attention looping, that's important. How you can do it is first, email marketing, you said it, like kind of SMS and kind of moments. Second, and most important is if I cannot even get them, I'm paying a small LTV CAC. The difference between LTV CAC, right, the small amount of money that I gave them by discount, that I do a gift or something like that, subtract the CAC, it's actually profit. It's actually making money much cheaper than not going to acquire a new customer on media buying or on the market.
Right. Yeah. It's about thinking about the value of the customer over a specific window. But go ahead, Joy.
I also think I think the most underutilized, and this is like something that everyone should try, is the cheapest discount you can give, like the formal discount, is actually a gift card. I think like it's a worthwhile discussion of having internally or what the economics of a gift card is normally. What we have seen is like this is the most insane thing for at-least retention or at-risk customers, which is on average a gift card is used 33% of the time. So if I give you even $100, you can just say like the perceived value of $100 is actually just $33 to the business. If you structure it well in a way like, okay, what's the tier, what's the AOV, you might actually come out to be, to use this, you need to buy another product. And then the actual cost of the gift card to me is like, if I gave $100, it's like 33% of the people are going to use it. So it's $33, but it's actually not 33 because you need to buy a product from me again. So it's like the cost of delivery, which if it's like, say 10%, then it's actually a 3.3% discount for $100 gift card. It's like the best way to retention, which is we are so confident you're going to like this again that we are going to give you $100 to try this product, which is like you buy this product, you get a $100 gift card. Like this is like
no
the best thing
margin,
ever out there.
or rather, I should say all margin giveaway, which is like you give the gift card. It's not really like a loss to you. Yeah, I think it's a genius idea. Let's okay, we're kind of running up on time here, so let's wrap it up. And one question that I like to ask everybody on this podcast is, based on like the discussion topic that we've had today, what's the one thing that you would give, one piece of advice you would give to a 7-figure business listening to this, out of the 4 things we talked about, out of all of the kind of places this discussion has gone, what's the one thing that you would do right now to affect the most change?
For me, clearly is, sorry, Joy, your turn.
I would do the step next.
Yeah, go for it, Joy.
I would do the step next, which is like, depending on where you are from the 4 steps we just mentioned, just do the next one. Like that's the
What about
highlight.
you,
I
John?
totally agree. I think totally that, like reading obviously, depending on the phase that you are, I think one of the most clear thing is go to your organic, look at which angles are working, then build an offer towards those customers, look at the comments, look at what people is talking about, then build an offer and landing page based off that, black that out and test ads, the same ads that you're looking on organic, put money behind and send them to those landings. You will see, as Joey said, CRO, you will see some more purchases. People are more happy because you're answering them questions. People are actually looking at the message they were following on organic. I think that's one of the things most of businesses don't do on 7 figures, which is go to your audience, pick what is working, look at what they're talking about, use it on the offer and on a landing page, test that. Don't run on homepage, don't run on betting. Like I tell, it's betting when you run ads to the homepage that you don't know if it's going to work. Test that. I think that's you will see some differential, but always obviously keep testing. And as Joy said, the most important point is keep linearly this kind of playbook that we're saying until you can scale to 8 figures. And that's because scaling to 9, then it's doing this more intensely, more times, and then retain them much more at the end of times, kind of a loop.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, wise words from both of you. Appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great summary. Like if wherever you are on this path, just do the next thing. And the first thing, of course, being the creative flywheel. So yeah. So if you want to join the Global Accelerator, have these guys working for you, you know where to find us, commonthreadco.com. Hit the hire us button. We'll also have a link to a page with some information about the Accelerator program specifically. That'll be in the show notes. So you guys can check that out as well. But all right. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Joy. Appreciate you joining us. And to everybody listening, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you very much.